Tonight, South Australia prepares to lift off another layer of coronavirus restrictions. Hospitality businesses set to flourish once again. And two Whyalla footy teams back on the training field, gearing up for the first match of the season.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Louise Hubar begins now.
Good evening. South Australian businesses are busily preparing for the next step towards reality, with more coronavirus restrictions soon to be eased. Pubs, restaurants and even shopping centre food courts have been given the green light to start up properly from this Monday, a move set to provide regional businesses the economic boost they desperately need.
Shuffling the tables, wiping down the bar and prepping the kitchen, the Sundowner Motel restaurant getting ready for some more customers to come through the door.
It's really good we'll be able to have more people through the place, which is a benefit for the customer as well. While the restrictions have been on, we've had restrictions on menus, specials, that can all open up again.
A hard road for food and hospitality, hit hard by the repercussions of COVID-19.
It's been the most difficult time in the history of the industry, so yeah, it's been everyone's suffered pretty hard.
As of Monday, South Australia will move into stage 3 restrictions. The further ease up means there'll be no limit on venues, as long as patrons are 2 square metres apart from each other.
It's quite a large dining room we've got here, so we'll probably be allowed to go back to, if we want to have 150, 160, we can.
Keep following the rules about trying to keep that social separation. Wash your hands, don't hug, don't shake hands.
Gaming rooms, nightclubs, casinos and spas will also be back in stage 3. However, businesses will still be required to provide a COVID-safe plan for defined public activities. The same goes for this empty food court at Westlands Shopping Centre, soon to be filled with tables and chairs again.
We're allowed to have 175 people in the food court on Monday, so tables will come out first thing Monday.
Wendy's shop owner for more than 20 years excited by the announcement.
I think it'll open up the centre again and maybe we get back to a bit of normality in life.
Travellers coming into South Australia from Western Australia, Northern Territory, Queensland and Tasmania are not required to quarantine. Travellers coming from other states, however, are required to self-isolate for 14 days.
It's good for us, it's good for the customer, it's good for everyone in general.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Primary Industries Minister has visited the regions to discuss the new fishing licence reforms with local anglers. More than 30 commercial fishers have already applied for the voluntary surrender.
Historic fishing reforms are underway across South Australia, and this Port Pirie commercial fisher has pressed the Minister with some hard questions from the comfort of his own home.
The concerns, I guess, are quota allocation and the money available for buyback.
This local angler says it's not an easy decision for those who have dedicated their life to fishing.
You know, there's always a lot of questions, and all different fishermen have different questions to make, potentially a life-changing decision on whether they're going to stay in the industry or go.
The $24 million buyback program is part of a government bid to replenish fish numbers and create a sustainable future.
Financial package on the table, but also for those that want to continue, they will move away from a licence into a quota system, and they would like to understand what it will mean to their business model.
I've got a group of fishermen who are friends of mine, and we essentially share the same view. We are pro-reform, and we believe that now is an opportunity to work with government.
Despite supporting the program, this fisherman says he's eager to remain in the industry.
We would like to remain in the fishery, but we're like everybody else. We'll see how it pans out.
Fishers have until November to make their decision, with the state government willing to buy back 150 licences. The Minister urges anglers to consider the decision sooner rather than later.
Licences will be converted to a quota system, and I think that's a message that needs to be sounded out loud and clear to the commercial fishers so that they understand just exactly what they're dealing with.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Whyallah's rival football teams Meruna Bay and Northway Ella are both gearing up for this year's first post-COVID-19 match of the season. The players say they're excited to be back on the field, especially after months of uncertainty around when and whether the sport would return this year.
A strong training session after months of being off the field. Meruna Bay and Northway Ella are preparing for the big match clash, kicking off Wyalla's Football League season for the year.
It's been an interesting few months, obviously, for everyone involved. We're just looking forward to getting back to a bit of normality, and all the boys getting around each other is always quite positive.
Meruna Bay players adhering to COVID-19 regulations, with outdoor contact sport back on the cards. The game a great outlet for the players as well.
The social aspect is a big one, so yeah, looking forward to getting amongst each other and then schnitzel at the club afterwards and that sort of thing.
Northway Ella also excited to be back after an extended break.
Just to sort of catch up with each other more than anything and get some exercise and then hopefully some competition in a couple of weeks.
The lingering scores of last year's season giving the players the extra drive. Northway Ella finishing third on the ladder, with Meruna Bay coming in just under at fourth. Now, with restrictions easing, the teams can get back to normal training sessions.
2 weeks ago we were only allowed to train in groups of 10, so it was quite lonely at each end of the oval, and then last week we were allowed groups of 20, and then this week we're back to normal, so we'll probably ramp it up a bit this week.
We've got obviously lots of numbers out here, so everyone's looking forward to getting back into it.
Northway Ella's shining star Brodie Stewart especially excited to be back, heading down to Adelaide this weekend to play for the under-18s SANFL.
It's good because I'm getting an opportunity down there and they're giving me a red hot crack.
His dream to be playing the big game at Adelaide Oval Stadium, which will now hold up to 5,000 fans as of this weekend.
Hopefully in the next few years I'll be playing reserves or league down there on Adelaide Oval.
As for Meruna Bay highlights, there are a few star players to look out for this season.
Max Sabierski and Stephen Jackson and Aaron Rodgers, who polled pretty well last year in the medal, blokes to look out for.
And for Northway Ella,
Daniel Collison's looking nice and big. He's been in the gym over the break. Sam Venning, he's looking good. He won our best and fairest last year. Nick Sanders had a really good pre-season, and Josh Ackland, who only managed one game last year, will come back and lead our midfield.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, as restrictions ease, art galleries finally get their work back up on the walls. And dancers get creative in Port Augusta, choreographing a special project to represent the region. Welcome back. Artists in Port Augusta can finally show their work at the local cultural centre again after months of the business being closed. 2 exhibitions are now on display, showcasing the creative talent from across the area.
Art is back on the walls, the reopening of the Yard of Hurdley falling nothing short of quirky.
Absolutely awesome to be opened again after having 12 weeks off. We're so excited, and the exhibition's awesome also.
It's a tale of contrast, a botanical exhibition filled with neutral colours, whilst the naturally techni-savvy collection brings together vibrancy and textures from artists from around the region.
So that's why you have such a diverse range of pieces in the room, because the people get their idea from the meeting and then they go away and work on their own pieces and come back 12 months later and unveil what they've done.
The artists thrilled for their work to see the light of day in Port Augusta.
This particular exhibition lives in suitcases and travels around South Australia to different venues, so it was stashed away in the storeroom and we were ready for this.
With many interstate prospects now hanging in the balance, Maria is looking toward the city's young people to get involved in the world of art.
Encourage our younger generation to put up an exhibition so that we could see what they have, their talent. So I think that's something that I'm going to work really hard on for the next couple of weeks.
The possibilities for the centre are endless.
And I'd love to just see us all come together to have one big exhibition, to celebrate who we are as Port Augusta.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Dance students from Caritas College are showing off their choreography skills and the beauty of Port Augusta while they're at it. The trio dancing around the city, showcasing its history through their moves.
Taking their moves to the streets of Port Augusta, something never before seen at Caritas College.
I feel like we tried to do something that was unique and something that was different to what people have seen.
Very exciting and very fun and nothing like I've ever done before.
The 3 students working together in the classroom for weeks on end to come up with the final routine, one of their own making.
They got to choose their own music and then they had to come up with a creative concept and then put it to some form of creative piece, so they chose to do it via film.
Shooting their final piece outdoors, the girls danced at several different locations from the foreshore to Gladstone Square. These locations showcasing the city's history.
Because we want to know where dance came from in Port Augusta and not just like in a school setting, to expand our knowledge of everything that we've been learning about.
The talented team not shy to leave their comfort zone and try new steps.
Coming up with this really creative concept, because like using the chairs, we weren't initially going to use them. So just like creating fun steps and moves.
It was Chanel's first attempt at dance. She's glad she took on the challenge.
I just thought it would be a good opportunity just to learn something new and not just do a different subject like as I always do. Just try something new. It was good.
The girls proud of their efforts from what was an idea just a couple months ago.
Very cool because Caitlin did a very good job of editing the video and then being able to watch our dance from the classroom come together as a video around Port Augusta.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Dogs in Moonta reap the rewards of a new challenge, and Broken Hill's netball players finally back out on the court. Hello again. A Moonta Bay woman is embarking on a different type of challenge in an effort to raise funds for mental health awareness. Diana Walter and her blind rescue dog are taking the lead on the Stay in Wild challenge and are encouraging people to get involved.
Diana Walter's walking for a good cause. The Moonta resident heating up a new challenge to entice people to get out and about, but not just for fitness.
It's about getting up your steps and increasing fitness, but also the important aspect of walking and talking.
The organisation Wild Women on Top has collaborated with Beyond Blue to help run the challenge. Now eager York Peninsula locals are rallying with their support.
And it's about mental health and well-being. And we know in Australia that so many people are impacted by mental health, and there's still a significant stigma attached to that.
Their furry friends will also be taking the reins in the challenge. Not surprisingly, they're eager to get walking, but only if there's a prize.
My daughter and I, Esther, decided that we would include our dogs, who are our four-legged companions anyway, that come walking with us. But they were sort of the inspiration and motivation behind Team Molly and Wally, so Team Mol Wol.
This fur baby may not have sight, but she has a special story to share.
She came into our family with some sight, and not long after that, her eyes had to be surgically removed. So not only has she been rescued, but she's been given another chance at life.
So far, participants have clocked up over 4 million steps and have raised $4,500, but they're hoping to raise as much more than that as possible. Organisers here in Moonta are calling on the community to step out and get involved.
Or go to the Wild Women on Top website. And although we're halfway through the June challenge, there's a new challenge starting in August. So we're looking to recruit more people to that, and registrations are opening soon.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The notorious Strzelecki track is set to be resealed as part of a $10 million upgrade program run by the South Australian Government. The road is notorious for potholes and is frequented by large trucks. Primary Industries Minister says mining and oil companies won't be the only industries to benefit.
We can attract livestock out of the north of Australia into South Australia, and potentially there are opportunities for red meat processing plants here at Port Pirie.
50 kilometres of the road are planned to be resealed by the start of next year. Pet owners are being reminded to ensure their dogs and cats are registered, with renewal notices being sent to Port Pirie residents this week. The process can be completed online, or for those who don't have internet access, they can pay at the local council chambers. Council members are reiterating the importance of making sure all furry friends are registered for a safe community. Broken Hill's netball season will recommence next month, 3 months after it was postponed due to coronavirus. The association is gearing up for a shortened season with strict safety guidelines in place.
Another Silver City sport returns.
The executive met and it was a unanimous decision that we bring netball back to Broken Hill.
Yeah, it's super exciting. First sport in Broken Hill to go back with a start date.
The city's local netball season made it through just 3 rounds of its scheduled 26 before coronavirus forced a stop. With the New South Wales government recently announcing community sport can return in July, the association was keen to retake the court.
Recommencing on the 21st of July at round 3 again, so we'll replay that round. Including grand finals, it'll be a 19-round season still.
It won't be a return to normal proceedings though. All involved will need to follow COVID-19 precautions.
We need to clearly label and sign sort of people coming through one gate and exit through another. In between each game, our post paddings need to be sanitised.
Match balls, scoreboards, toilets, even pens will also be cleaned between each time slot. The association looking at an earlier start of 5 o'clock to make sure games don't go long into the night. Players excited to be back on court.
And a lot of us haven't played sport since it all started for a few months ago. I know my team's really excited to go back out and play. Something to do, bit of social.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break, Pat. We'll have this week's Fuel Watch and we'll have the weather with Brit. Welcome back. Time now to have a look at how things are shaping up when we head to the Bowser. Here's Patrick Reinke with this week's Fuel Watch.
With South Australian school holidays right around the corner, some regional centres have started to see an increase in their prices. Starting with unleaded, and only a couple of Spencer Gulf townships are on the way up. Port Lincoln has observed a small jump in its average but is still paying around $1.18, the same as Port Augusta, which saw no movement this week. Kadina, the other place to see a spike, but it wasn't big though, not even 2 cents. The price is now around $1.15 a litre. Port Pirie has gone against the trend and has actually witnessed a small fall in its averages. $1.14 last week, $1.13 this week. Meanwhile, in Ella, nothing has changed. That's the same story here in Broken Hill as well. The Silver City still paying the most across the regions at $1.23. Adelaide, the most expensive on the board though, seeing a 27-cent surge to $1.35. Turning over to diesel now, and despite all the red, the prices haven't changed that much. Port Lincoln is still paying $1.15, Port Augusta still paying a cent more. Whyalla is up by about 2 cents, the biggest change in the Gulf this week. Kadina and Port Pirie are both paying around $1.14 a litre. Broken Hill 12 cents more at $1.26. Adelaide seeing the biggest increase over the last 7 days. The SA capital up by 3 cents to $1.11. Finishing off with a quick look at auto gas, and there was only one change this week. That was in Adelaide, with city motorists now paying 74 cents a litre. Everywhere else remains quiet. Port Lincoln and Whyalla are on 92 cents, Port Augusta and Kadina 89, Broken Hill 83, and Port Pirie doing okay on 82. Now remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do find a spot that does sell unleaded, auto gas or diesel for cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Now let's hear from Brit with the weather.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening. Cloud cleared to reveal mostly sunny skies today, with maximum temperatures sitting 1 to 2 degrees above average. Woodner recorded the region's high of 18 degrees, along with Port Augusta and Whyalla. It reached 17 at Port Lincoln, 16 at Port Pirie, Kadina, Cleve and Coffin Bay, 15 at Broken Hill and a high of 12 degrees at Clare. From the satellite, we can see that cloud clearing thanks to northwesterly winds ahead of a cold front crossing the Bight. That cloud will rebuild later. To our north, clear skies under the influence of a broad high-pressure system. Moving on to tomorrow's Gulf waters, north to northwesterly winds at around 10 knots, increasing to up to 15 knots through the morning. Seas below 1 metre with south to southwesterly swells. Now let's see what tomorrow has in store near you. A partly cloudy day expected at Port Lincoln and Cleve, both with highs of 17, Woodner partly cloudy and 18. Looking partly cloudy at Whyalla, also 18, Port Augusta with a low of 2 degrees overnight, bringing light morning frost, warm warming up to a partly cloudy 19 degrees. Kadina, fine and 17 tomorrow. Mostly sunny at Port Pirie, a high of 17. Clare, partly cloudy and 14. And finally to Broken Hill, where it's looking sunny and 17. Let's take a quick look at Friday now. Partly cloudy conditions across the board. Port Augusta 18, Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Port Pirie all 16. Saturday, sunny conditions about the west coast, looking fine and partly cloudy elsewhere. 19 the high for Port Augusta and Woodna, Port Pirie 17, Broken Hill just 14. And Sunday looking sunny across the region with a little bit of cloud cover about Broken Hill and the Lower Eyre Peninsula. Whyalla and Port Lincoln both 18, Broken Hill 13. And Louise, that's the forecast.
Lovely, thank you for that, Britt. And that's your local news for this Wednesday evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll have updates later. Until then, have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.